Any discussion? Was there a second on that?
Second.
Okay. No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Those are carried. We have one appointment for Parks Commission, Don Oltz, 5851 West Lake Road, Auburn, New York, term 6/22/21 to 12/31/23. It's a new appointment. Is there a motion?
Move it.
I'll make,
Is there a second?
Second.
This one?
Discussion on the appointment. If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, now
Okay, we have department updates, nothing from Janine. Sewer and water. We all have Larry's report. We'll move right down to Gary.
Yours?
Hi, Tucker.
Hey, Gary.
Well, you have my report. There are just a couple things I was going to mention on the report, and then I'll turn it over to Doug to answer any questions on the parks. Under buildings and grounds, item 5, I'm proposing to extend the cleaning agreements for one more year to allow, as allowed by the contracts. We've got American Commercial Cleaning for the county office building and mental health, and GDI for Hardburg Building, historian, and records. I'll bring a resolution forward next month unless somebody does not want me to.
Sounds good to me, Gary.
Okay, thank you. The other thing that I was going to mention that was added on County House Road, we're having some problems with a chiller out there. Mitch has been struggling with that, and they do have it running, but it's been an issue. Hopefully, it doesn't develop into something more serious. And I apologize, I'm losing my voice today. Maybe that's a lucky thing. I don't know. With that, I'll ask if there's any questions for me before we go to Doug.
Anything for Gary?
Gary, this is Mark in the chambers. Just a quick question. Did we have an issue at the 911 center this weekend where they had to go to the backup center?
I don't know if they went to the backup center. There was a power issue out there. We are continuing to work on a power issue out there. I actually reached out to Wendell, an electrical engineer at Wendell, to try to look at this problem and see if we can resolve it. But there was a hiccup out there. I don't think they transferred to the other center, but they might have.
Okay, thank you.
What's your reasoning for extending those contracts a year, Gary?
Well, to be honest, I haven't had a lot of complaints. That's probably the biggest thing. The last time we went out to bid, it ended up costing us $17,000 more a year for the buildings at the courthouse and the HBO. So I'm a little concerned with the way prices have been going that we'll end up paying more money. It can only be extended for one more year, then we'll go out to bid next year, one way or the other. We could go out to bid, but you can go either way when you go out to bid in these environments, especially right now with the people having so much trouble finding help, us included. So that's kind of what I'm a little leery of changing horses at this time.
Good reason.
Anything else for Gary?
Mr. Chairman, Tim,
Yeah, Tim.
Gary, the electrical problems that have occurred, I know that there's one motion on here to go back to NICEAG. Is that part of the problem with the electric?
No, this is totally unrelated. This is just the public safety building being affected. The resolution that's before you is pertaining to the digester. This problem has nothing to do with the digester. In fact, the digester's being repaired right now and hasn't been in service for a little while. They're making some upgrades to it. So this issue has nothing to do with the digester. The digester is a separate issue. We can talk about that when we get to the resolutions, or I can talk about it now if you want me to.
Well, we'll wait till the resolution.
Okay.
On that note, I only have two resolutions on the agenda I'm looking at.
For their updated agenda, when you go onto the agendas and meetings website, it doesn't show previous version. It's actually the second June 8th meeting agenda.
I'll check that one out.
I have them up on the board as well. Hopefully, if you can see my screen that I'm sharing, you should be able to see the resolutions.
I can find it somewhere on my phone.
There's still only two on the screen here for buildings.
Yeah, two for buildings and one for highway.
Right, 3 total though, Andy, it should be.
Yeah, I see it on the screen. Okay, I just didn't want to miss a resolution. All right. Okay, if that's it for Gary, we'll move on to Doug.
I'm not sure if Doug can get hooked up. He's having technical
I just-
difficulties
I
hooking up.
just got on. Can you hear me?
I can
Yeah,
hear you.
Doug, we can hear you, Doug.
Okay, great. Thank you. You have the report there in front of you. A lot of it, quite a bit of it's follow-up. So concept design for Deauville Island is complete. We had what I would call the initial public meeting. We're completed with the culvert clean out. And we're working with the merry-go-round staff on reopening on June 30th. So that's great news. We're working on hiring the health department. We're working with the cooperative extension for the animal shows that will go on. That's obviously just going to be a small event there, not inclusive of the actual county fair itself, but they're going to continue to have their animal shows and some of their displays at the park. And as far as staffing is concerned for this season, we have picked up a few people in the past 2 weeks. Probably going to be putting on 4 additional staff. That would put us at 19 out of the 40 something positions that we have. I would estimate that we had planned on filling 30 something of those positions if you take the lifeguards out the number. So we're still in the process of filling those positions. You can see the updates from the Agricultural Museum and the Sterling Nature Center. The only thing I would want to add to mine is that I just got word that a large refrigerator, not walk-in cooler, but a reach-in refrigerator in the Emerson Park Pavilion is down. The repair is several $1,000s. The company that came in and looked at the equipment said we'd probably be better off, since it's 12 years old, to replace that. So Tucker, I haven't had a chance to send anything in, but I would propose to put in a resolution to come out of the Emerson Park Pavilion reserve account. That account was set up for repairs and maintenance and equipment replacement specifically. So that's something I was just made aware of. And if it's okay with you, I would distribute a resolution maybe to get in before Ways.
I don't have a problem with that. Talk to the chair of Ways, but it sounds reasonable to me.
Okay, thank you. That's what I'll do. That's really all I had to update on the report, unless there were other questions.
Anything for Doug?
I had a
Oh.
question. Hi Doug, this is Trish.
Trish.
This was curious. Thank you for the update on staffing. Do you have any lifeguards yet this season? What does that picture look like? And how many would you need to be able to open the beach? And also, in terms of training and stuff, does that do they get certified through like a YMCA program, or how does that work?
So we received 0 applications for lifeguards. Their certification process is several $100s, and usually is a very abbreviated one would be probably 4 to 6 weeks of training that they do. It's a couple hours a week. It's usually spread out. The YMCA does those. The American Red Cross Association does those. So there are several different certification programs for those. They are expensive considering the amount, I guess, you get paid for the season. Recertification is required annually for CPR, and I believe New York State has actually changed the you have to recert for lifeguarding now annually too. The recertification isn't as extensive or as expensive, but there still is a bit of a barrier. Some local communities have reached out and done, outreach in the winter, even in the spring, and actually paid for training, or it just at least made sure that training was available. Some municipalities have been successful with that, others have not. So it just kind of depends. The shortage is not new or news, but it is pretty critical this year, to the point where some state parks I've heard are rotating guards from park to park, and others are using a limited schedule of hours just to get some open. But currently, right now, we haven't received a single application, so that's where we are.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Lattimore.
I started my career out as lifeguard at Emerson Park. I think I swim 6 days a week. I might be able to put my services to good use.
You could start there and retire there, Tim. It'd be like 2 bookends.
There it is. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anything, Doug? Let's go ahead and we'll do PW1 and I believe is it 3, Lacey, the other for the digester?
1 and 3. Correct.
Is there a motion for PW1? It's authorizing the restoration of the north parapet masonry at the historic post office building.
Move it.
Is there a second?
Foley, second.
Any discussion on that? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried. All right, let's jump to PW3, the digester one. And Gary, I know you're losing your voice, but could you just give us a quick overview of that for those of us that haven't seen it?
Yes, I think Rich is there too. He has really been involved in this every bit as much as I am, and actually more. But I can tell you what basically what's happening is if we stay with the digester, it's going to cost us more money for our electric. We currently be much better off to convert. Rich generated that document that shows the payback. We'd be saving money after 2.5 years, basically, or 2 years. So to me, it's a matter of whether, if you want to support the digester, that's one thing, but it's going to cost the taxpayers money. And we felt that best thing to do is just go ahead and go back to NICEAG.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to ask Rich. Rich, have you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I would say that negotiating, I've reported on this previously to, I forget which committee, but in any event, negotiations have essentially stalled out. We started out last October. They told us they wanted to go, our current contract is at 8.5 cents per kilowatt. At the first meeting, they told us they wanted to go to 8.9 cents a kilowatt, and we told them they were crazy, that we're not jumping up. And they came back and they just kind of repackaged it with a base rate plus paying the standby charge. But when you add it all up, you're right at 8.9, and you'll probably be more at 9 or 9.2 for the electricity, depending on how much power the hospital will use. And I've spoken with the hospital numerous occasions. They're going to follow our lead, whichever way they go, whichever way we decide to go. So that's pretty much it.
And what would our NICEAG rate be?
Our current all-in rate is about 7.1 per kilowatt. So, to go with a digester, you're going to be paying close to 2 cents a kilowatt hour more than what you're currently paying for the office building and, your other buildings.
Do we have an estimated yearly amount that the difference is?
Yeah, I can give it to you. on an annual basis, if we were on NICEAG, it would be 107,912. And if we were going with the digester, including the standby charge, we'd be at 135,975. So that's $1,000 more. By their own estimates, they claim that the difference is 15,000, but even at 15,000 a year, you're paying a premium for, the privilege of being on the digester.
Yeah, that's substantial.
Yeah, and my guess is, I think the reason they took such a hard line with us is that they think they make more money on the open market. And so that, I think one of the motivations why they were not willing to make any movement on our end.
Well, I guess we do them a favor if we bought our electricity from NICEAG, then they'll have more to sell on the free market.
There you go.
They
Is there
pulled
a
that
motion?
crap before and they don't make more on the open market. So my opinion is go back to NICEAG and let them figure that out. Then maybe in a few years, they'll get their head out of their you-know-whats.
Yeah.
No,
Motion
Mr.
on
Chair-
PW3.
Mr. Chairman,
Can I have a motion first, Tim?
okay.
Move it.
Second. I'll second it so Tim can ask his question. Go ahead, Tim.
Mr. Chairman, I just want the record to show that from the beginning, I know that, we got the feasibility study done with the digester with Sherry Bullard. That's how far back it goes. But ever since that time, the power agency that the county has is really had little or no input. It's been done out there. And I just want to let you know that the future of energy is going to be very expensive with the governor taking putting the surcharges on all electricity for shutting down the nuke plants, Indian Point being 38% of the city of New York's energy. Energy is going to be very scarce and very expensive in the future. And I know that our newspaper that we get, our county national magazine said that microgrids are going to be very, very popular and the thing to have. And I hate to see us destroy maybe a potential microgrid.
Any other discussion on PW3?
I
Yes.
have a question. This complicated arrangement for splitting the load charge or whatever you want to call it. Can you comment on that, please, Bush?
Sure. What has happened under our previous contract, they sell the power to Soil and Water. Soil and Water resells the power to us. And it was simply a pass-through charge. It was 8.5. The digester was charging Soil and Water 8.5 cents. And Soil and Water was charging the county 8.5 cents. What was going on behind the meter, so to speak, is that in addition to that, Soil and Water was paying NICEAG for any time there was downtime on the digester, or any time that the load that we were pulling was greater than what was being produced by the digester. And that fluctuates almost on a daily basis. So they were paying that. They were not charging the county for that. Now that those contracts have expired and we want to contract, or the model was to contract directly with the digester doesn't want to be on the hook for those excess charges, what I call the standby charge. And so they're trying to pass it off to us. They said that they would, I did build it into our calculations here, that they would give us a credit up to $12,000 a year against those standby charges. But even with that credit, like I say, you're paying between $0.015 and 2 cents more than what you can get power for off the grid.
Why isn't the hospital on their own with a nursing home? Why are they
Well,
in this mix?
well, the hospital, we just transferred title to the hospital earlier this year.
Yeah.
And so that was part of the microgrid that Mr. Lattimore referred to, and still is a part of I mean, all the connections are there for the microgrid. So if we make the move, I mean, they would have their own choice whether they wanted to stay on the grid, on the microgrid or not. But what they've committed, or what they've said to me is that, they're gonna follow our lead, whichever way, if we go off to NICEAG, they'll go off to NICEAG. And it will save them money as well. I mean, it's a savings across the board.
Mr. Chairman,
Tim,
the nursing home, now that the Auburn Hospital building is an all-electric building, and it's very expensive to run. So what we choose today is going to be costly in the future, but I won't be around. So, but I just know that energy is going to be very expensive, and the surcharge on energy is going to be tough.
any other discussion on PW3?
Mr. Chairman, this is Mark in the chambers for a question.
Go ahead.
Is there a cost to go back to NICEAG? I mean, are they just, we're gonna just say, we're not gonna do business with the digester folks anymore, we're gonna go to NICEAG? Is there a charge to do that?
Yes, and it's built into the estimate that we have here. They're gonna charge us $42.79 to make the conversion. They're not asking us for a new transformer, but the charge is $42.79. Gary, I think maybe you have more information on that. I'm not sure what that charge is for. I just know that was built into the estimate.
Yeah, that is their charge for hooking up a commercial account. They're not, like you said, they're not charging us for the transformer. Then the other charge, we have to actually hire an electrician. That cost is in your analysis as well. We have to hire an electrician to run the wire. Then NICEAG hooks it to their pole and hooks it to their transformer.
Do we have any idea of the cost of that?
Yeah, that's what's resolution.
Oh, okay.
It's $49,950. So that's to do the cabling. And then Soil and Water has agreed to do the excavation, whatever the digging needs out there to make the connections, they'll do that with us.
Rich, what was the length of the proposed contract from them?
3 years.
Mr. Chairman,
Tim,
I just like to say that the leadership that our present governor has shown in regards to the revisioning of the energy grid, which is ancient, and I know that we're putting up a lot of solar projects. The aging system that's there now, I don't know whether it's going to be able to handle it. And I think that the microgrids might be a better thing in the future for reliability and stability.
How about we just save the taxpayers some money, call the question?
Can I just make a comment before we do that?
question's been called. I will stick with that. In favor of PW3?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Any opposed to PW3?
Aye.
Aye.
We got 2 opposed.
No.
I'm not on the committee, so I can't vote.
Be quiet.
You're all talking.
Really? There's nothing. I
All right. we will move on to highway.
Tucker, can I, if this is Brittany in Chambers. On PW1, Brian seconded the motion and he is not on the committee, so we'll have to go back and re-vote.
What do you do that for?
He's out of line, he's out of his. Great power there.
Here, I can second that.
PW1, is there a motion?
Move it.
Or a second from somebody on the committee?
I'll second it, Mark.
All right, all in favor?
Yep.
Any opposed? Thank you, Brittany, for paying attention. Okay, all right, let's try highway again.
Could we scroll to it again, please?
One more sign.
Want to see the full resolution for highway?
Please.
I'll move PW2.
I'm just trying to figure out what we're on. Are we on 2 or 3?
We already did 3.
We're on 2,
Yeah.
which is the highway.
Tucker, we're gonna do the committee report first.
I have a motion on the floor for PW2. Is there a second?
Second it.
Who made the motion?
Kelly.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion on PW2?
Which one was 2 again? Jeez.
It should be.
Highway equipment. Okay. You got it, Andy?
Yeah, I was just confused why we all of a sudden ended up at highway and we haven't heard from him yet, but I'm good. I see it.
No, somebody made a motion. We're going with it. Is there any discussion on it? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
That's carried. We'll go back to the beginning. If Mr. Soper would like to get on his report, he can. If anybody has any questions for him, do that.
Can you hear me, Tucker?
I can.
Okay, the only thing I have to add to report is obviously, since I wrote the report, where our mileages have changed. We're actually 10 miles from being done with our chip seal program for the year. And we're a little over halfway through our paving schedule. We got about 36 miles paved to date. Other than that, if anybody's got any questions.
I have a question. Hi, Brian, this is
Go
Trish.
ahead.
Can you just comment on the tree removal item that you provided in terms of how many trees are we taking down? Is that part of the paving work?
No, the tree removal is what we're doing right now is the contractors come in and taking down the trees that we can't take down ourselves that are dead trees. I don't have an exact number how many trees we're going to take down. We're going to do what we can with the budget. And then we'll start doing the ones that we can do by ourselves that aren't involved in the power wires.
Is there any tree replacement that goes along with that?
Personally, I wouldn't like to see any trees in the right of way if at all possible.
So. Okay, and these are primarily just on the county highways, county roads?
Yes, all of them would be in the county right of way. We don't remove trees that aren't in the county right of ways.
Thank you.
Anybody
Mr.
else?
Chair,
have for highway?
Mr. Chairman,
Does anybody else on the committee have anything for highway before Tim gets it?
That's Foley first.
Go ahead, Mr. Lattimore.
Brian, what is the, how many miles are we gonna do this year? And we're a quarter done, or what percentage are we done with our actual work?
We're about 80% done with our chipping, and we're about 60% done with the paving for a total of 122 miles between the two.
And with the windfall that we've got from the feds, is there any money in there for roads or bridges or anything that we might be able to
That's-
use?
That's still in the discussion, I believe, in how that money can be spent. I talked with Aileen a little bit about it today, and it's still not clear exactly what infrastructure projects qualify.
But if we said we wanted to do 100 miles more road, is there any contractors out there who could do the work?
I'm sure if you guys can come up with the money, I can find a contractor that'd be willing to take it.
All right, thank you.
I got a question for you, Brian.
Sure, go ahead.
You did Southern and Brat Road. I don't give people your number when they yell at me for doing it because they get tar on their car. It's unbelievable. But what about Bonner Bridge Road? I know I had this argument. This was pre-you a year or two ago with the crap job that Suit Coat did on that. And it's never been, well, it was fixed in their eyes with their little patches. You saw it there. They're strip patches, but it's
Yep.
still ripples the whole way, and people are still bitching at me. So, and Suit Coat, I went out and rode up the road with two of their guys who, oh yeah, we're gonna fix it from, such and such a place up in the Meridian. And obviously nothing's ever happened. So will anything happen?
You'll have to get with me on that and let me know who you talked to and what the history was behind it, because if it was a warranty issue, then we can force that to happen.
It should have been a warranty issue because it was done in 2018, and I think I started bitching in 2019 when everybody started bitching at me, and most everybody on this board knows that because I made it clear, and Suit Coat has done nothing, and I don't think anybody's ever said anything to Suit Coat after the ride I took with them.
Right. Like I said, let me look into it and I'll get with you on that.
Anybody else have anything for highway? If not, does anybody have anything else for this committee?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, is there a second? Anybody?
Mark,
All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Okay, I believe planning is up next, right?
5 minutes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I heard something in the background. I'm still stuck.
Hey, Lacey, Lace? Oh, she's not there.
Are you there, Elaine?
Hey, Sue, Lace stepped out a second. Can I help you with anything?
Oh, I just want to see who's there. I can't seem to get all the names.
Trish Kerr's here.
Yeah.
What do you need,
Mark
honey?
Strong,
You need to know.
Okay,
Chris, Hans Peacher,
okay,
Steve Lynch,
yep.
Ryan Foley,
Oh, Ryan's there, okay.
Paul Pinkney,
I missed that one.
Paul Pinkney,
Okay.
and Ben Vitale.
Well, everybody, you know, like.
Is Chris
Sue,
Petras
can you
there?
hear me?
The ones
Yep.
in,
Is Chris Petras there?
yes.
How about Mike Didio?
No, not in chambers.
Okay,
Oh, no, she see who's online. She couldn't see who's in here. Oh,
here's Mike, okay.
Sue, can you hear me?
Yes, Tim, I can hear you.
Okay.
Well, that's what else I was gonna ask. Can I share my screen without having my video on? Yeah, I would be on about. How do I do it? I didn't know.
Sue, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, I'm watching a lacrosse game for my granddaughter over here in Skinny.
Oh, nice.
What time's this meeting gonna start?
Was Paul back in the room?
I don't know. What, do you have a caucus or something?
Not without you, Timmy.
That's tomorrow, Tim, after your golf.
Oh, there's my fellow legislators.
Are we live? I'll play the meeting in order. Get a chance to look at the minutes. I'll entertain a motion.
Move them.
Petrus move, second. I'll move, keep it rolling. Any discussion?
Who's second?
Pinckney. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, we're gonna go through everybody and then we're gonna do a real quick executive session. So we'll move it right along and everybody will have their supper nice and warm. Okay? So Tracy, we'll start with you first.
Hello. I'm not usually first. You surprised me. So just a few things to note from my report. You've got all the metrics from the reporting, but I did want to point out the consolidated funding applications are open. The Empire State Development Grant Funds this year are going to work a little bit different. There's going to be more, a longer time frame to apply and quicker turnaround in terms of award announcements. So there's a first round of ESD grant funds that are going to be due June 30th, and then should get a response about awards in late summer, early fall. So like late August, early September. So this timeline change is actually something that we've been working on for a number of years. It's been an issue for a number of years. So we're glad to see that they've adjusted that timeline and that there will be multiple chances to apply for these ESD grant funds. So as businesses, identify projects, there's a longer time frame that they may be able to access those funds. So it's something that we, want businesses to know about. We had a funding forum last week, and the video from that is on the CETA website. So, anyone who's interested in that can reach out to our office, or they can look at our website and see the presentation by Dan Kalinsky last week. So it's just a little bit different this year, and we're excited for these timeline changes. The DRI Small Project Grant Fund applications as part of round 2 were due on June 4th. As I understand it, we've received 9 applications and we'll be scoring those midweek. Those will be going to committee mid-month. So we should, by the end of the month, have a good idea of how the rest of that funding is allocated to projects. And our new communications coordinator did start last week. Her name is Giovanni, and she is settling into the office. But those are kind of the highlights of what's going on.
Trace, how did the meeting go with the senator?
Really good. It was an introductory meeting just to get our staffs introduced to each other and talk about the different work plan priorities that we have right now. There's a lot of different funding type stuff coming out from the state. So we just wanted to make sure that their office was aware of what our priorities are here in Cayuga County from an economic development standpoint, so that they can keep us in mind as different opportunities become available. But it was really good. We had our specialists on the call, and then Senator Mannion had a few of his staff members on the call. So it was just a really good introductory meeting to get everybody on the same page.
Good. Any questions for Trace? Trish.
This is Trish.
Tim, be quiet.
I just was wondering if you could comment on the railway project and what is the impetus behind that? Is it a standard upgrade, or is there a project driving that?
It's somewhat of a standard upgrade. The state has funded some work for the crossing on 5 and 20 over by the Bombardier facility. So they decided, so Finger Lakes Railroad took that project and said, okay, since we have funding for this component, we could leverage that funding to match other funding to do some additional upgrades. So this application is leveraging that DOT money to upgrade the industrial line that goes out to Caravale directly from that crossing. So that was the impetus for them to look at this project, was the state funded upgrade. So it is a typical upgrade of the rail line, but you know, that rail line could be accessible to multiple businesses.
And what is the time frame on that?
I believe that those funding awards are in October, and then it's a few months from then to when they could actually start the project. So probably next year,
Great.
should that funding come through. If the NBRC funding doesn't come through, the crossing would still occur.
Great. Thanks, Tracy.
Tim, did you
Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman?
Brian, Sean, Tim?
Tracy,
Mhm.
as you're sitting down with the senator, I know that one of the sister plants at Bombardier down in Schenectady was an Elko plant, a manufacturer of large engines. The senator 20 years ago gave them $50 million to clean that site up. Is anybody talked about cleanup money? I mean, I know we had, you know, GE had an issue, but I'd like to see that brownfield cleaned up so that it can be reused.
Yeah, so there's brownfield money available for the property or incentives available should there be a project at that site. At this point, the new owner of Bombardier Transportation is looking through their portfolio and working through what they want to do with all these sites that they acquired as part of that acquisition of the Bombardier Transportation division. So we have been in touch with them, but as of this time, there's not a clear project for the site. But at that point, there are certainly incentives and funding available for brownfield remediation.
And secondarily, do we have any major sites available for? I know that there's a major food company that's thinking about leaving New York. But I mean, do we have anything to show anybody who might be wanting to grow their business in New York?
Yeah, there are a few sites throughout the county that we would typically put into a attraction response, depending on the needs of the business and what their needs are from an acreage, water, sewer, all of those electrical, gas, all of those logistics. So when we have a lead such as that, we look at what the needs are of the business, and we have a number of sites that we do send to those types of leads.
Okay.
Trace, a quick question. Anything on the Aurelius line?
Actually, we're making progress there. So phase one is we're going to have another call with our contractors probably tomorrow. And, you know, we've got our supervisor Ide has given the go ahead to move forward with phase one of the project. And so we're hoping that will be moving forward very soon now that we've got his approval. And so that will at least have solved the immediate issues for Cayuga Milk Ingredients over there. And then we'll still be working on phase two and the financing for that.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, one other thing.
Sure, Tim.
Tracy, we have some vacant land in Fulton. Have we had any interest in selling to maybe a prospect there?
We don't typically look into other counties for sites. I know that the county owns that land, but it's not typically on our list since it is outside of Cayuga County.
We don't have any regional approach.
I mean, generally speaking, we want the benefit to come to the county taxpayers as we are funded by the county taxpayers. So, you know, generally speaking, we do want to put leads into Cayuga County proper to, you know, expand the tax base here. We certainly work regionally, and, you know, I can certainly check in with Mike Treadwell and in Oswego County and let him know if the county is interested in that being considered for economic development and attraction. I can certainly coordinate with him if that is the desire of the board or the legislature.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, Kelly King, are you on?
I'm on. Good evening, everybody. The highlights that I have really for my report are focused on our youth program. Just late last week, we received our summer youth employment allocation from OTDA, and the allocation was 186,475, which was down about 5,000 from last summer's allocation, but still we're happy with that. And we anticipate to have about 50 youth enrolled in our youth program, paid work experience that starts around July 6th. And we're going to pay them minimum wage for the duration of the program. What we can do is if we have extra money, once we start the kids, some kids drop off, some kids don't do 30 hours a week. We have the ability to keep them working through the end of September. So often we will be able to do that based on that time span that we can run the program. So far, we have 53 completed applications. So that's good because not everybody that applies will be eligible. It's income based, which is strictly how the summer program works. And then of course they have to pass. So all of our youth participants are actually county employees. So one of the requirements is passing the drug test, and then we do an onboarding orientation with the sexual harassment piece, the right to know, and then at that point we teach the financial literacy component, which is one of the requirements for the youth program in the OTDA. So we have that coming up. The orientations are scheduled to be at the end of this month. We're going to do them in person in groups of maybe 12 to 15. We're going to do them right here in the Career Center. So that's pretty exciting for us considering we haven't had a lot of foot traffic. And I'm hoping that that kind of brings in some activity into the center. So moving forward with that, we have over 32 work sites set up tentatively, which is more than last year. We have some new work sites on board. We have Cayuga Onondaga BOCES in their childcare has asked if they can have one of our youth participants for a daycare worker assistant, and same thing with the Cayuga Community College's daycare center. So it's exciting to have new work sites sign up. Loretto, the Commons also is a new work site. They want to have, they're looking for a lot of participants. I'm not sure that we can meet what they're looking for, but they need folks in food service and recreation aides, in their recreation room. The only other thing I really have is later this week, I should receive my full allocation for our WIOA budget, which starts July 1. From what I'm hearing, we will receive similar dollars to last year, possibly a slight increase. So that's also good news for us. Other than that, that's about all I have for tonight.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Tim.
Mr. Chairman, we had a meeting in regards to maybe having fireworks at the Emerson Park for the 4th of July. And I guess that's kind of rushed because one of the big hurdles was getting the ambulance services to to be there because they don't have enough EMS people. Kelly, do we have any training for our ambulance services or put together one? I know we have a nursing program at the college. It would be nice to be able to have events where we have people that are, you know, if they have an emergency that we can respond.
Is it that there's a lack of training providers or a lack of funding to pay for people to be trained?
Interest, I believe.
Interest, okay. I mean, under our program, we have funds that we can pay for classroom training like we do with the nursing program and CDL, welding, and so forth. We certainly can pay for training like that if there's a need and an interest. We can look at maybe promoting that sector. We can do that. We can pay for training. So if someone comes to us and they're interested in training, that is definitely a program that we can consider.
Well, thank you very much. It'd be nice to have our ambulance emergency systems fully equipped with personnel.
Absolutely.
Anybody else? Thank you. Doug Kirst, are you on? Is Doug Kirst on?
He was earlier.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, buddy.
All right. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. You guys got the report. Just a couple of quick things I want to highlight. One, hopefully everybody had a chance to go in and check out our annual report that we had posted on the website. Decided to keep it digital this year. But as you'll see, there's a lot of work that we still did despite the COVID last year. The other thing was the educational videos. We keep working with other partners on these. There's always questions about tiles and how they impact water quality and what they're used for, and oftentimes some misconceptions out there. So we work with partners to do a good video on tile, taking some drone footage. So hopefully you guys can go check those out as well. Just grant writing season, like Tracy mentioned, with the CFAs are out, our Agnon Point grants are out, and we've got a lot of interest in that, as you can imagine. So we're doing those while construction season is going on. Other than that, really, I'll just do a shameless plug for any of that infrastructure COVID money. We always have projects that deal with infrastructure on the books that don't get funded through other grants. So if there's any extra funds kicking around, feel free to keep us in mind. We have a lot of projects ready to go that we'd be glad to get some projects on the ground. So keep us in mind for that. Other than that, I'll take any questions that you have.
So is the tire the 12th?
Yes, tire event, the 12th from 8:30 to noon. Yep, supposed to sign up to get some registrations, but at this type of event, I don't really feel like turning anybody down because any tires we can get off the roads and out of people's hands is good. But I guess the making reservations really helps space things out for us.
Thanks.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
In regards to the rubber, we used to have a tree grinder, a tub grinder. Can we maybe use some of the grant money for that?
I'd pursue going after a new tub grinder, wood waste recycle. When we looked into it, the ones that we were looking at that can also shred and grind tires was a little over $1 million. So it was a little out of our price range because if we were going to do anything, we'd buy a new weed harvester or something like that. But they're handy machines, that's for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else for Doug?
Anything on bigger tires yet?
We're working on it. It's a matter of the funding. Line up funding for it. We got some prices, and we wouldn't be able to get very far, let's say, but we got to start somewhere. So we have a plan, let's say, Andy.
Good.
Anybody else? Thanks, Doug.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Dan Welsh.
Good evening, everyone. Just to pick up on the tires, we do have 210 people signed up, which was the registration limit. And, you know, we haven't turned anybody away yet, but we do also get a lot of questions with the folks that are calling to register about the agricultural tires. So be talking more with Doug about that. On our youth fair, so we are going to have a scaled down fair. Still working through exactly what the limitations, restrictions, rules we're going to have to follow as everything seems to change weekly at this point. But we are not going to do a large advertising to have the public come down. We just didn't have time between when the governor said county fairs were a full go until the event to plan enough other activities outside of what we were doing for our 4-Hers. And then finally, in my report, I mentioned our move, and do want to recognize Kelly's been great to work with. We are going to be temporarily moving into some space there in the Career Work Center. That another tenant that Kelly has there now is moving out of. I was probably a little bit over eager to have the move completed, so that timeline of later this month or early next month may slip, but we should be out of our building by the fall.
Tim, you still there?
Yep.
If Tim was still on
Oh.
He just scored, he's busy.
there. All right, anything else for Dan? Thank you, Dan. Karen, if you're here, we'll go to you next. She has, okay. Oh, she has to be excused, and you've seen her report. I'm sure she'd be glad to get back to you on it. Before we go into executive session, thing is one resolution. We can, now, Steve, if you want to present.
They can hear you through there.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I do have one resolution. I'm sorry to say that Suzanne Gauthier, after quite a long time with the county, I think it's almost 20 years, will be retiring towards the end of the year, sometime in December. And this resolution is overlap.
Making that kind of noise.
Beal.
This is an overlap resolution that allows a training period for a new employee to come in. There's no impact on the planning budget. I saved approximately $23,000 by hiring planners later in the year than I was able to, partially because of circumstance and partially because of trying to save some money in the budget. And so there won't be any impact on the planning salary line at all. If you are concerned about the amount of time that I have asked for this training period, I would ask you to just trust me that this is what it's going to take to try to really train somebody. There's a list for administrative assistant. We know kind of the names that are on it. They're canvassing. We don't know what the answer is yet, but we might get somebody that's never worked with the county before, never done any of our software at any of our operations, which will make training tougher. That's what it is, Mr. Chairman.
And we have a motion to move it.
Move it.
Second.
Second.
Second, Trish. Any further discussion before we go into executive session?
That motion was for executive session and for the resolution.
Just for the resolution.
Discussion and then the executive session.
I think the motion, but I can't.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I'd like to go into executive session to discuss personnel. We can stay here if you want, or we can go in the caucus.
You have to go in the caucus because live will stay on. And
Is
did you
that
set
set up for anybody else to call in on? Do you know?
Chad, do you-
So are we supposed to go to something different?
Hey, Andy, I don't know if there's a link. I'm looking for that right now. I don't know how many of us are on line here. Maybe we can just call into one of the legislators and I'll be on speaker. I don't know. Let me see.
quick 8x8,
Right,
but I can't do a real.
Right, IT was thinking it was gonna be an 8x8.
So someone's sending us an 8x8? Is that what you're saying?
Hold on.
Yes, I'll go check out, create one really quick.
He said he'll go check in the other room right now and see what's set up.
Well, I can set one up.
She'll have-
We just set it up in here too, Chad. Is there anyone other than the legislators that you need in this? Okay,
Steve.
okay.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Okay, I just sent a link. So now, if one of you bring a computer in there, or I can even bring mine and just have it set up, and then people can come in through the 8x8.
That'd be great.
Andy, did you hear that?
Oh, there's an 18
Me?
Well, we'll make it next time.
Go to caucus.
And if you called in, please make sure you sign off of your Zoom before you get onto the 8x8. Because then it will go into the YouTube.
Yeah, okay. Well, they didn't know we were going into executive session, so everything happened last minute.
Sometimes it's the best way.
Yeah, exactly. What's that?
This is our last piece of business.
Yeah. We gotta get your haircut done. Bye, Chichi, bye, Chichi. You're probably too young for that. I'm getting there. Also, can you kind of leave a little fur balls?
Mike,
Yeah.
do you know that they're doing the executive session by 8x8? If you wanted to join that, you'll need to get off the Zoom meeting and dial into the 8x8. Brittany sent out an invitation. If you check.
How do I get on there?
Check your email, sign out of this meeting, check your email, and Brittany Massey sent you a link.
Yeah, it said, this was.
I just bring up the participants. Did it go? Okay. Yeah, but we're just.
Are you what? No, I'm not.
We gotta go out and get the garbage. Are you done?
No.
All right, I'm gonna go get the garbage. You gotta put it out in front. Get everything turned off.
Chris is gonna bring it back and Steve wants a parting comment.
Are we live again?
Yes.
Okay.
Put it back in, hopefully.
I'm looking for some feedback from the committee members and other legislators. It's the 2021 consolidated funding season for the grant applications now. They're due July 30th if you're gonna go for a Parks grant or a Department of State grant or something like that. So that means that we can't get authorizing resolutions this month. It's too late. But we need staff to start working on some of these things. You know, if we're gonna put a July resolution authorizing submission. But the legislature meets on the 27th of July. So there's actually two grants. One is if the legislature and some of the foundations put some funding behind some of the Emerson Park stuff, we could leverage that and try to get some significant state monies if we write the grant. I don't know what's gonna happen next week, and I don't know if there's a definitive answer from our other partners, but I expect that it probably will be somewhat positive. So I could have staff starting to work on these grants in advance of July and have the resolution come through in July. The Environmental Protection Fund grants through the Parks Department at the state, 75% grant, 25% match. It looks like we would have a lot of match. They only have $17 million for the whole state for competitive grants, so you can't put too much in the hopper. So there's that. I can talk to individual legislators. So I just didn't know if there was general support for trying to go out and leverage. Yeah, that would be great.
Which?
On that one.
Straw poll or?
Straw poll.
Yeah.
That's all I can get.
Anybody in the committee? All in favor of that?
Yes.
All right, raise your hand. Anybody opposed?
I mean, it's not official, it's just that we'll
Yeah.
start doing some of the work and seeing some of the,
Let's
what the
start
options are.
proceeding.
The other one is Central New York Regional Planning Board has been doing a grant to the Department of State every year for like a regional trails plan. They've been putting in pieces of this regional pedestrian and bike trail over the last few years through the Department of State grants. For the last 2 years, they have to go through a municipality. The last 2 years, Oswego County did the grant, like passed it through to regional, and regional did all the work. And Oswego didn't pay any money for it. They're asking Oswego to do it again, but they wanted to know if there was a backup if Oswego doesn't get the authority to do it for a third year. Would we run it through with a resolution in July? And basically, they would do the work, we would sign the papers and submit the reports that they prepared for the grant administration, and we get $2,200 admin fee, and it wouldn't cost the county anything. And I just said I would ask the committee if there's general support as a backup for that if we have to in July.
Steve, did you say it's a planning grant?
Yes, I think it's pretty sure it's a planning grant, yeah. To do the detailed planning on the segments. And if they did it here, it would be like probably a segment from Aurora up to Fairhaven.
Chris, quick.
If you guys are done, I just wanted to add something real quick before we got
Go
done.
ahead.
I just real quick wanted to thank Mr. Lynch and his staff. I don't know, you guys probably saw in his report that the feasibility study was completed for the rewatering of the canal. I think that's gonna be a great boom to not only mine and Mr. Vitale's district, but to the county as a whole. So thank you for your continued work on that. I think it's gonna be a great success, and thank you. Please extend your staff as well.
Thank you.
My sincere thank you.
Thank you.
Brittany, we have
Yes.
Carol too.
Yep, and it's just a resolution for adopting the local law for the year 2021, a local law authorizing the 12 and 13-year-old licensed hunters to hunt deer with a firearm or crossbow during the hunting season. This was brought before on last committee, and this is just to adopt it once the public hearing has been set for June.
What do you think, Hans?
That's up here.
Gonna do it, yeah. I think
Motion,
Move it then.
Chris, or Mark?
I'll second it.
First, second, Chris. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Oh, wait.
Oh,
Sorry, that's my bad. Are you,
I didn't say, I'm motion, did you use me?
yeah, I think.
Oh, I don't.
I was trying to set you up there,
All
but
right,
I'll move it.
okay.
I'll second.
Second, Trish. Any further discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Anything else to come before the planning tonight?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Move in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time.
Sorry, man. I knew that was right up your alley. I was just
Yeah, it's
trying
up
to-
my alley, but I can't make,